una kong na-meet ang ating makakausap ngayon, I was 18 years old. Right after I did the commercial, I Love You, Piolo, I got a call from Tape kung pwede daw akong mag-guest sa sitcom where she stars. If you remember, yung mga batang 90s and early 2000s, kung naalala niyo yung sitcom na Daddy Dido Do, isa siya sa bida doon, anak siya ni Vic Soto. I guested in that show. And at that time, she was already popular because she is the daughter of the great master rapper, Francis Magalona. And that was the very first time I met her. Wala pa ako masyadong alam sa industriya, but I was just observing her, and she's just really a ball of energy. Yung alam mo, nag-enjoy siya sa set, tapos sabi ko, ang sarap naman ito. Ang bata mo pa, may sarili ka ng sitcom, ang saya-saya ng trabaho mo, kumikita ka. Naging regular ako sa Eat Bulaga. So, regularly, nakikita ko na siya, nakakasama ko na siya. But, hindi kami naging friends, kasi nga parang feeling ko, magkalayo yung age namin. Maalamin ko nga kung gaano kalayo yung age namin. I'm so fascinated with the stories that she shares sa kanyang IG because it speaks so much about life, transformative journeys, and how she's searching for the real meaning of her existence. And I think she found her purpose already, and it's so beautiful how she shares her story. And I hope that her journey can also speak to your hearts. We have Maxine Magalona. Manangkil.
Grabe.
May manangkil na.
Grabe! Wala lang, parang nakakatuwa lang marinig yon yung about, finding your purpose and your existence in this life. Parang talagang, it's something that it's so like, ang
Parang
sarap.
nandun ka na talaga ngayon, no?
Super, super talaga.
Kasi I was reading about what you've been through. You went through a dark phase.
Yes, yes.
It was right after your dad passed away.
Yes, yes.
What happened?
Yun na nga, my dad passed away. I was 21 or 22 at that time. I didn't realize this back then, but I was unconsciously trying to fill a void when he passed away. So I turned to partying, drinking alcohol every day. Tapos nagrarason pa ako na, ganito kasi pag namatayan eh. Like, you...
Grieve.
Yes, you grieve through drinking, ganyan. Parang yun yung, parang uso sa
Excuse.
atin dito, di ba? So, yun yung ginawa ko. And then, hindi ko na napansin na medyo 5 years ko na siyang ginagawa. Alam mo yun, parang nagsimula siya na parang gina-justify ko pa na it's because I'm going through a loss. And then, hindi ko na inakala na dumating na nga doon sa ganung punto na medyo hindi na talaga healthy. It was a very toxic time of my life where I was just really denying what I was feeling. So, I was running away from all the uncomfortable feelings.
Ano yung
So,
feeling? Feeling of?
Feelings of, fear, anxiety, depression, parang in denial. Kumbaga parang hindi ko siya matanggap. Yeah, I was pushing it aside. And then I thought the partying was helping me because it was making me happy.
Parang you're cool.
Yes, yes.
Kasi
Parang,
pag 21 ka, di ba yun yung era na parang...
exactly.
Cool ako.
Na parang, kaya ko to, nawala si Papa, okay lang, I'm strong. Yung parang ganon, like trying to put on this strong, powerful, like I can do anything. Like we are conditioned not to show our weakness. When we go through something as terrible as a loss or a heartbreak or something like that, when we admit weakness or pain, it makes us look or feel weak. And ayaw natin yun. Pero now that I've been going through my healing journey, I realize na, admitting that you're going through pain and owning it and embracing it is actually a very strong and courageous thing to do. And running away from it is actually what makes you weak. So hindi ko siya alam nung time na yon. And I forgive myself for that, you know?
So nung nawala yung daddy mo, ano yung feeling mong nawala sa'yo nung time na yun?
Grabe, as in talagang para akong, you never really know what you could feel until it happens to you eh. It hits you so much that you just want to forget and you want to disappear. That's why you keep running away from it. Because my dad was my best friend. I was super close to him. I'm his firstborn. Talagang naging close talaga kami. And I see so much of myself in him. Kumbaga marami kaming personalities na pareho.
Pareho.
Oo. So talagang ano talaga.
Ano yung personality ng daddy mo na nakuha mo?
Nako, super friendly si Papa. And ako, ganun din ako. Parang, I want to be able to hold space for everyone. I want to be the friend na you can approach and anything that you want to talk to me about, I'm here to listen. Kung baga parang everyone needs a friend like that, di ba? No judgment. Ganon din si Papa, hindi nagja-judge. Kung baga parang kung ano trip mo yan. Ako naman ito trip ko. Kanya-kanya tayo. Walang basagan ng trip. Yan ang sinasabi ni Papa. And ang isa sa mga pinakamagandang lessons that he shared with me was he told me na yung trabaho natin ay trabaho lamang. Sabi niya sa akin, Sin, yan yung tawag niya sa akin Sin, hindi porket lumalabas tayo sa TV ay ibig sabihin nakakaangat tayo or mas mataas tayo sa ibang tao. Trabaho lang natin to. Lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay. Yan ang sinabi niya. And nakita ko talaga yon in the way he lived, in the way he treated people around him. It wasn't just, he wasn't just saying the words, he was actually living that life. Parang dun ko nakita. And that was what he was singing about in Kaleidoscope World, di ba? So talagang he was very authentic. Authentic.
Big part of you is your dad.
Super.
Kaya ang hirap nung nawala siya.
Exactly. So parang my world came crashing down and I didn't know what to hold on to.
Yes.
Kumbaga parang,
Ano na?
saan
Sino
tayo?
na ako?
Exactly. So I kept like finding myself. I didn't even know I was lost. I was lost but I didn't know that I was lost. So imagine kung gaano kagulo yun. Maxine magulo na. Diba? Ganun talaga.
Kasi pag 20s ka, hindi mo talaga alam pag lost ka. Feeling mo
talaga.
lang cool ka.
Sobra!
Pero lost ka. Pero
Lost.
maiintindihan mo lang yan towards the end of your 20s when you're approaching 30s na, wow, ano ba yung mga nagawa ko noon?
Exactly. Nakakahiya, di ba? And that's when shame creeps in. Sabi mo, di ba, towards the end of your 20s, malalaman mo, some people don't even. Di ba? Yung paniniwala nila is talagang, hindi, there's nothing wrong. Nasa tamang path ako, dire-diretso lang sila, ganyan. So, hindi naman din nila kasalanan. Kumbaga parang ganun lang talaga yung
You need that moment in your life na magkakaroon ka ng awakening.
And that's called rock bottom.
Kailan yun sa'yo?
Oh my gosh.
Yung rock bottom.
Oh, wow! Okay, marami akong mga rock bottom moments. I'll share one. So, may one time I was partying in Boracay. Tapos, dapat uuwi na ako the next day. Pero medyo napatagal yung inuman hanggang sa na-miss ko na yung flight ko. And dapat may work pa ako sa a noontime variety show. Pagbalik dito sa Manila, na-miss ko yung flight ko. Kumbaga, wala ng responsibility, kumbaga, kebs.
Oo.
Hanggang sa nagising ako the next day, tumatawag sa akin yung police station ng Boracay saying that my bag is there. I didn't even know.
Bakit nandun yung
Naiwan ko sa isang bar. Tapos dumiretso na ako sa inuman. Tapos nakuha nila yung bag ko. So parang nung time na yun, parang ako, shocks. Tapos artista pa ako. Alam mo yun, parang what if na balita, ganyan. Shinare ko naman dito. But still, like, hindi, para lang malaman ng mga tao na ganun kalala. Ganun na ako kalala.
Ka-lost.
dati. Ka-lost, yes.
Oo.
Maxine magalona, Maxine malalana. Di ba?
Oo,
So,
oo.
yun yung isa sa mga rock bottom moments ko. Pero after nun, hindi pa rin ako tumigil. Ang pinaka rock bottom ko talaga now was when I got married and I was projecting negative emotions towards my husband. And I was becoming abusive with my words.
Yung rage.
Rage, yes. And I didn't know that it was already psychological and emotional abuse. Because
With your
nakasana-
husband?
Kunyari, pag may sinabi siya sa akin, pipitik na ako, tapos kaagad magagalit, and then kung ano-ano nang sasabihin ko, parang napunta na sa kung ano-ano, tapos parang later on, I feel bad about it, and then I say sorry to him, and then he will accept my apology, and then a few days later, magkakaroon na naman ako ng episode. Kumbaga, it turned into a vicious cycle, and then sabi ko, hindi na to tama. And then my most rock bottom was when I was starting to punch walls and kick doors. Kumbaga parang yung energy ko was just like,
Dark.
limit na. Kumbaga parang, naano na ako,
Ang bait ng
nag-overflow.
asawa mo.
Sobrang patient niya talaga. And he was the one who really encouraged me to do therapy. But at first, of course, in denial ako. Kasi in our country, when you say therapy, it means there's something wrong with you, that you're a little crazy. Alam mo yun? Cuckoo, yes. So, at that time, sabi ko, no, hindi ko kailangan. Gumaganon pa ako. And then, nung nag-start na nga akong mag-adult tantrums, kasi it's really my inner child. It's my inner child wanting attention or like,
Not getting what you want.
and assurance that whatever happened to me in my childhood, it's not happening again in the future, in the present. Kumbaga parang the reason why I get irritated and I explode is because when I get triggered, it reminds me of a trauma in my past. My body is defending itself. Kasi we are designed to defend ourselves from threats.
Yes. Yun ang nagiging defense mechanism ng katawan mo.
Sabog, tapos rage, tapos walk out. Ganon.
It was your husband who suggested
Na
na
mag-therapy.
mag-therapy.
Yes.
Anong lumabas sa therapy?
Ay, wow. Talagang, sinabi na niya sa akin that I currently have a mental health condition known as Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder or CPTSD. And when I found out, sabi ko talaga, wow, sobrang thankful ako nung nalaman ko because now, I can do my research. Hindi ako nalungkot nung nalaman ko na may mental health problem ako. I really was hesitant to go to therapy at first. Also to psychiatrist kasi psychiatrist yung therapist ko eh. Natatakot ako nung una kasi ayokong mag-medications. Because I was heavily hooked on alcohol before. And my party lifestyle. So, ayokong mag-depend sa medications as much as possible. And knowing also my dad's personality, the addictive personality, which I also inherited, ayokong maging dependent. Not that I have anything against medications and people who take medications. I understand that some people, they really need it. But me, personally, if I were to choose, I want to heal as naturally as possible. And that's what I wanted to ask my therapist kung paano. So when she told me na may complex post-traumatic stress disorder ako, I started reading books about it and I started doing my research. And then I started doing all the steps na pwedeng makatulong para mag-heal ako.
May reason ba kung bakit nagiging ganun?
Yes.
Ang isang tao. Saan mo daw nakuha yun?
So, when I was doing therapy, siguro mga 1 or 2 months regular, tsaka namin na-figure out kung ano talaga yung mental health condition ko. So, alam namin ng doctor ko kung ano talaga yung mga details, kung ano yung mga pinagdaanan ko. And personally, I don't want to share about the details because I feel that I don't have to. But what I can share is that complex post-traumatic stress disorder usually begins in childhood and it happens in interpersonal relationships. So,
Meaning?
between people who are closely related,
Like family.
family or pwedeng cousins or pwedeng
Relative.
workmate, pwedeng basta someone that you spend a lot of time and energy with and then napapasa yung energy and then nagkakaroon na ng codependent relationship. So, ang different examples of causes of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, abuse, emotional, psychological, sexual, pwedeng neglect, pwedeng growing up feeling that you were not wanted by your parents, that hindi ka napapansin ng parents mo. Sometimes parents tend to just keep working and they just give financial support. There's no emotional availability. So yun yung nangyayari, nagkakaroon ng trauma yung bata. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder or CPTSD starts from childhood and it grows with you.
Grabe yun.
So it's layers upon layers of trauma. So iba-iba. So iba pang examples of causes of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, bullying. Kunyari, pag pupunta ka sa school and there's someone who keeps bullying you, that will also traumatize the kids.
So you've had your own share of...
I've had my own share, and also when I lost my dad, losing a loved one is also a form of trauma. So that it's nagpapatong-patong.
pain after pain after pain after pain.
Fear, depression, anxiety, and then sasabog na ako. Ganon. So it makes so much sense. It really explained so much. That's why I'm so grateful to my husband and my mother-in-law, Milette Martinez Manankil. Hello, Mom. She was the one who really gave me the contact of my therapist. And nung nalaman ko talaga yon, that really changed my life. It changed my world.
How did it change you?
It really made me more mindful. It made me more aware. So parang for me, if not for this mental health condition, I wouldn't have gone this deep into my center, into my core. So I'm so grateful. Kumbaga, mas lalo kong nakilala yung sarili ko, mas naging aware ako, mas naging mindful ako, mas naging compassionate. And that's what I've been wanting to learn, Tony. I've been wanting to learn how to love. Because I didn't really know how to love. I know how to say it, to show it through my actions, but to actually love, yung talagang totoong feeling of it, I only learned it when I started doing my therapy and my yoga and meditation and when I started connecting to God.
Feeling ko yung love also. Kaya hindi mo siya ma-express sa iba. Is because hindi mo pa minamahal yung sarili mo.
Exactly.
So you cannot love another person if you don't love yourself. Diba? You have to come in with your cup full. What's in the cup is yours. What overflows is for you.
Yes.
Diba? It's not being selfish.
No. You're nourishing yourself. so that you can give to others. And the reason why I was jumping from one relationship to the next was because I was looking for it in external factors. I was looking for it outside of me. But it's not. No, you have to, it's inside and it's always been with you. 'Di ba? And yun na nga yun. That's why I'm so grateful din for my mental health condition kasi it really brought me closer to God. Wala na akong ibang makapitan eh. Talagang He was the only one who really
Kailan
showed
yung
me the
moment
way.
na yon? Like,
In meditation.
speaks to you.
Narinig ko talaga siya. As in, narinig ko siya, my child, kinakausap niya ako. Me, I choose to meditate on my breath. So I keep connecting to my breath. Breathing, so focus. And then when thoughts come to distract me, I go back to my breath. And then one day, habang nagme-meditate ako, I was deep into it. Narealize ko, my breath is such a beautiful gift. And I used to take it for granted. And now, it sustains me so much. It makes me feel so alive. And then I realized, saan ba nanggagaling yung breath ko? Kay God. He's the one who makes me breathe. That's why when I listen to my breath, I know that I'm listening to Him. And it just makes so much sense.
What was that one message na narinig mo from Him when you were meditating?
He speaks to me every day talaga. Like one day, He would tell me, use what I gave you. Or like, you're on the right path. Ganyan. As in, biglang dumadating yung words, ha? When I would meditate, biglang pag nagtapos na, I start praying, I start talking to Him. And it just happened naturally. I really believe that the dark phase that I went through, the darkest period of my life, was meant for me to find my light. And my light is my soul. So, the dark times in our lives, it's okay. Alam mo yun, nakakatulong talaga siya.
You were in Bali for a year.
I was in Bali for a year and I really believe God put me there for a reason.
Because?
When I was in Bali, ang intention ko talaga, before coming to Bali, I went there with the intention of healing my anxiety, my stress, and my mental health. So, pagdating ko doon, Feb 29, March 15, nag-lockdown. I was in the middle of a yoga teacher training. Pero sabi ko, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity for me to practice surrender. Kasi one cause of anxiety, for me personally, is wanting to control everything. Kasi when you have control, there's a guarantee that everything is okay. Kasi ayaw nating may problema.
That's our
diba?
ego.
Exactly. And dapat wag tayong makinig sa ego
Ego.
natin. Our ego can be a healthy partner, a healthy, tool for
Devil's
us.
advocate.
Exactly. But we shouldn't be controlled by it. Before I started doing yoga and therapy, nung dati, palagi ako nagkakaganyan. So it's energy. When you are negative inside, then the universe will keep giving you the negative energy also.
So,
But when I was in alignment with my energy and really tapping into my energy and focusing, that's when the universe started responding more positively. So what I believe in, God, universe, energy, nature, I believe in that too because God is nature as well. And what I really believe in is kindness talaga. That's what we need.
parang yun yung book na binabasa natin ngayon. Nandun ako sa chapter ng Untethered Soul that it
Okay.
says there, you're not really changing. You are becoming
Exactly.
the person
You were always meant to be.
you were always meant to be.
Exactly.
And that's what happened to you.
Yes. I feel that it is my calling to use my platform to speak about these things that I've been learning. Kasi talagang I feel that my journey is meant to also help others. Because I feel na nangyari talaga sa akin siya for a purpose. Dati, nagpo-post lang ako just for the sake of posting. Tony, lalo na nung sikat yung Twitter, parang kulang na lang i-tweet ko na humihinga ako, guys. Lahat na lang tinitweet.
Every detail.
Everything. Kasi nga, it's an excess energy. Energy that wants to be released, pero hindi ko siya ma-release ng tama kasi hindi pa ako aware nun. Pero now that I'm more in tune with my energy, I used to think of it as healing, but now, thanks to my friend Anna, who is a Filipina-German who is based in Bali, she inspired me to see healing as not as a bad thing. You know, kasi I used to think of healing as something that I was doing from a place of shame and brokenness. But then she said to me, you know what? We were never broken to begin with. Healing is actually just remembering who you really are and taking away the layers, the shadows, the distractions, taking off the veil of ignorance. That's it. healing is just about remembering your soul, going back to your soul.
Meeting your soul
I mean,
again.
exactly. And I'm a big advocate of mental health. I really believe that we should speak more about it, more openly, that we should talk about it just like we talk about physical health. Because it's the same. For me, it's even more important because physical is, our body is our tool. Our mind is also our control center, our brain. Kumbaga parang, yan pa nga dapat yung mas tinututukan natin. But, in our world today, we give so much more importance to how we look. And that's not our fault. I mean, ganun lang talaga. Some people, they relate more to that. But me, I find that we need to take care of what's happening underneath the surface. And that's our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Doon ko na na-realize na, this is why pala ako nagkakaroon ng mga problema dati. Because I was too fixated on the external. I was too like, I need to achieve more. Kailangan ko ng, alam mo to, Tony, pag sa showbiz, di ba, parang pag hindi ka na masyado nagkaka-work, naku, nanalaos na ako. Parang, kumbaga, parang you allow it to define you. You allow it to affect you. But really, no, that's not even, I mean, for me, I really believe what's meant for me is meant for me. The blessings that God gives me, yun talaga yung para sa akin. And I pray about it every day. Sabi ko, Lord, please bless me with work that aligns with my values. Kaya when you asked me to be a guest here, sabi ko, nakakatuwa.
It's meant to be.
Nakakatuwa naman na in-invite mo rin ako kasi I really want to share my journey para makatulong. Yun lang talaga. If kahit may isa akong matulungan, masayang-masaya na ako. Para lang malaman nila na hindi sila nag-iisa.
Nasaan ka ngayon sa healing journey mo? Are you fully healed? Are you getting there?
So right now, I'm at a point in my life where I just choose to hold myself with compassion and with gentleness, no pressure. Kumbaga, just go with the flow, knowing that I am doing my best. Because I am. I know that I'm putting in the work. Naiintindihan ko na yung nasa Diyos ang awa, nasa tao ang gawa. Kumbaga parang, kaya pala ako sobrang lost dati kasi hindi ko ginagawa yung kailangan kong gawin.
Alam mo, while listening to you, I'm getting this energy na you're living in gratitude.
Yes, because gratitude is really a superpower. It's really my foundation.
You have a tattoo, Be Love.
Yes!
Kailan mo nilagay yung
Right before I left for Manila, going back home.
Why did you put that tattoo, Be Love?
The phrase, be love, naisip ko, this is how I will learn how to be more loving and more compassionate. If I remind myself not just to say or do acts of love, but to actually be it. And what is love? It is accepting everything, not judging others, looking at them with compassion, being kind to the unkind. They are the ones who need kindness the most. I wanted to actually be love. So that's why I want to be that kind of human for everyone in the world today.